In the vast, undulating landscapes of 17th century West Central Africa, a remarkable figure was destined to shape the destiny of nations. This was Nzinga Mbande, born around the year 1583. Her birthplace was Kabasa, the royal capital of the Ambundu Kingdom of Ndongo, a territory that lies within the borders of modern-day Angola. She entered a world already feeling the profound and disruptive influence of external forces, particularly the Portuguese, whose presence along the coast heralded an era of immense change and often brutal conflict. The very air she breathed was thick with the complexities of power, tradition, and the encroaching shadow of colonial ambition. Nzinga's lineage was royal yet complex. Her father was the Ngola Kiluanji Mbande, the reigning king of Ndongo, a man of considerable influence and authority within the Ambundu societal structure. Her mother, Kangala, also known as Kengala Ka Nkombe, was one of the king's favoured concubines, and importantly, a woman who had herself been enslaved before becoming part of the royal household. This particular aspect of her parentage would later be used by Nzinga's rivals to challenge her legitimacy, a hurdle she would have to overcome with characteristic tenacity and strategic acumen throughout her long and eventful life. The kingdom of Ndongo, into which Nzinga was born, was a significant regional power. It was one of several Mbundu kingdoms, characterized by sophisticated political structures and a deep connection to the land and its resources. However, the late 16th and early 17th centuries were a period of increasing instability. The Portuguese, driven by the lucrative slave trade and the quest for mineral wealth, were steadily expanding their influence inland from their coastal settlements like Luanda. Their incursions frequently led to warfare, the displacement of populations, and the fracturing of existing political alliances, creating a volatile environment. This was the challenging stage upon which Nzinga's early life unfolded. The kingdom faced constant pressure, not only from direct Portuguese military aggression, but also from their attempts to sow discord among local rulers and to install puppet leaders more amenable to their interests. The very survival of Ndongo, its culture and its people, was under threat. It was in this crucible of resistance and adaptation that Nzinga's formidable character began to take shape, preparing her for the extraordinary role she would later play in the history of her people and the wider African continent. Her early experiences undoubtedly instilled in her a profound understanding of the precariousness of power and the necessity of unwavering resolve. Nzinga's childhood was far from that of a sheltered princess, detached from the harsh realities facing her kingdom. Unusually for a girl of her time and status, she received comprehensive military training. Her father, Ngola Kiluanji, recognizing her sharp intellect and indomitable spirit, ensured she was skilled in the arts of warfare. She learned to handle weapons, including the battle axe, a formidable instrument with which she would later become synonymous on the battlefield. This early immersion in martial practices set her apart and equipped her with skills that would prove indispensable in her future struggles for the survival and sovereignty of her people. Beyond her military education, Nzinga was actively involved in the affairs of state from a young age. Her father included her in governance duties, allowing her to observe and participate in political discussions and decision-making processes. This provided her with an invaluable apprenticeship in leadership, diplomacy, and the intricate dynamics of royal power. Furthermore, she was taught to read and write Portuguese, likely by missionaries present in the kingdom. This linguistic skill would become a crucial asset in her later negotiations and correspondence with European powers, enabling her to engage with them on their own terms and to understand their intentions more clearly. However, Nzinga's formative years were also marked by profound personal tragedy inflicted by her own half-brother Mbande. After their father's death, Mbande ascended to the throne. Driven by paranoia and a ruthless desire to eliminate any potential rivals, he orchestrated the murder of Nzinga's young son. In a further act of calculated cruelty, he had Nzinga and her two sisters, Kambu and Fungi, forcibly sterilized. This devastating loss and brutal violation undoubtedly fueled Nzinga's resilience and hardened her resolve. shaping her into a leader who understood the depths of betrayal and the imperative of survival against seemingly insurmountable odds. These experiences, both the empowering tutelage under her father and the horrific abuses suffered at the hands of her brother, forged Nzinga into an exceptional individual. She possessed a keen mind, a warrior's spirit, and an unyielding determination to protect her people and preserve their autonomy. The lessons learned during these early years in statecraft warfare and the bitter realities of power struggles laid the foundation for her eventual rise as one of Africa's most formidable and revered queens, a leader who would defy empires and carve out a legacy of resistance. The year 1621 marked a pivotal moment in Nzinga's early career, showcasing her burgeoning diplomatic prowess on a significant stage. Her brother, King Mbandi, now ruling Ndongo under immense pressure from Portuguese expansionism, chose Nzinga to lead a crucial diplomatic mission. She was dispatched as his ambassador to Luanda, the centre of Portuguese power in the region. This was no small undertaking. The journey itself was fraught with peril, and the negotiations ahead demanded extraordinary skill, courage, and a deep understanding of the complex political landscape that defined Angolan-Portuguese relations at the time. Nzinga's mission was to negotiate a peace treaty with the Portuguese governor, João Correia de Sousa. The Kingdom of Ndongo was desperate for a cessation of hostilities and sought the withdrawal of Portuguese forces from their forts within Ndongan territory. Furthermore, Nzinga was tasked with asserting Ndongo's sovereignty and its independence from paying tribute to the Portuguese crown, a demand that struck at the heart of colonial ambitions. She arrived in Luanda not merely as a supplicant, but as a representative of a proud and resilient kingdom determined to secure a just and lasting peace for her people. During these negotiations, Nzinga demonstrated remarkable astuteness and an unyielding presence. One famous, though perhaps apocryphal story illustrates her commanding demeanour. Upon finding that the Portuguese governor had provided only one chair, his own, intending for her to sit on a mat on the floor as a sign of subservience, Nzinga calmly ordered one of her attendants to kneel on all fours, creating a human seat. This act, whether historical fact or symbolic legend, perfectly encapsulates her refusal to be intimidated or disrespected, asserting her equal status in the diplomatic arena. Her intelligence and firm stance impressed and perhaps unsettled the Portuguese officials. The negotiations were arduous, stretching over many months, but ultimately Nzinga achieved a significant diplomatic victory. A peace treaty was agreed upon in late 1622. While the full implementation of its terms would prove problematic, the agreement itself was a testament to her skill. During her time in Luanda, in a move that was likely a blend of diplomatic strategy and perhaps personal conviction, Nzinga was baptized into the Christian faith. She took the name Dona Ana de Sousa, with the Portuguese governor himself acting as her godfather. This conversion, whatever its motivations, added another layer to her complex identity and her relationship with the European power. In 1624, the political landscape of Ndongo underwent a seismic shift with the death of King Mbandi. The circumstances surrounding his demise are somewhat obscure, with some accounts suggesting suicide, while others hint at Nzinga's possible involvement, though concrete evidence is lacking. Regardless of the exact cause, Nzinga, a woman of immense ambition and proven capability, moved swiftly to assume power. She understood that in the volatile environment of Ndongo, decisiveness was paramount to securing the throne and preventing the kingdom from collapsing into chaos or falling prey to Portuguese manipulation. Her consolidation of rule was methodical and at times ruthless. She seized the royal ritual objects, symbols of legitimate kingship within Ambundu tradition, thereby legitimizing her claim in the eyes of many of her people. To further solidify her position, she systematically eliminated potential rivals and opponents. This included the difficult decision to have her young nephew, the son of Mbandi and a direct claimant to the throne, killed. Such actions, while harsh, were often deemed necessary in the brutal power politics of the era to ensure stability and prevent protracted civil conflict. which would have weakened Ndongo further. Nzinga officially assumed the title of Ngola, the traditional term for the ruler of Ndongo, thereby asserting her full authority as queen. However, her ascension was far from universally accepted. She faced considerable opposition from various factions within the kingdom. Some nobles resisted being ruled by a woman, a challenge to deeply ingrained patriarchal norms. Others questioned her legitimacy due to her mother having been a slave wife. Furthermore, her previous willingness to negotiate with the Portuguese and her Christian baptism were viewed with suspicion by those who advocated for a more uncompromising stance against the colonial power. These internal divisions provided fertile ground for Portuguese interference. The colonial authorities in Luanda were wary of Nzinga's strength and independence, preferring a more pliable ruler on the Ndongo throne. They actively sought to undermine her authority by supporting rival claimants and fomenting dissent among her subjects. Thus, from the very outset of her reign, Nzinga found herself battling not only internal challenges, but also the relentless external pressure from an expansionist European power. Her early years as queen were a testament to her extraordinary resilience and political acumen in navigating these treacherous waters. Section 5. Years of exile, resilience and strategic reinvention. The Portuguese, unwilling to tolerate a strong, independent Ndongo under Nzinga's rule, formally declared war on her on March 15, 1626. They threw their military support behind rival claimants to the throne, such as Haria Kiluanje and later Ngola Hari, hoping to install a puppet ruler who would serve their interests. Nzinga, despite her formidable military skills and the loyalty of many of her warriors, found herself facing an overwhelmingly powerful enemy, augmented by disaffected Ndongo factions. The ensuing conflict was brutal, stretching her resources and manpower to their limits. By 1628, after several years of intense fighting, Nzinga's forces were severely depleted. She suffered a series of military setbacks, and the Portuguese, along with their local allies, managed to drive her out of Ndongo. Forced into exile, her situation appeared dire. Many lesser leaders might have succumbed to despair or faded into obscurity, but Nzinga was a creature of extraordinary adaptability and unwavering resolve. Her period in exile was not one of passive waiting, but rather a time of strategic regrouping and reinvention, a testament to her indomitable spirit and her refusal to accept defeat. During this challenging period, Nzinga sought new alliances to rebuild her military strength. She turned to the Mbangala, fearsome nomadic warriors known for their martial prowess and distinct socio-military structure. She forged a crucial alliance with Kasanje, a powerful Mbangala warlord, reportedly marrying him to solidify the pact. This alliance was not without its complexities. The Mbangala had their own customs and often brutal practices, including ritualistic cannibalism and infanticide, which Nzinga to some extent had to adopt or at least accommodate to gain their loyalty and military support. Her time with the Mbangala marked a significant transformation. She immersed herself in their culture, reportedly participating in their initiation rites, and adapted her leadership style to command these fierce warriors. This period of exile, while fraught with hardship, allowed Nzinga to forge a new, formidable army. It demonstrated her remarkable capacity for pragmatism and her willingness to make difficult choices to achieve her ultimate goal, the reclamation of her kingdom and the expulsion of the Portuguese. Her resilience during these years of adversity was a crucial factor in her eventual return to power. Section 6. The Rise of Matamba, a new kingdom forged in resistance. Having rebuilt her military strength through her alliance with the Mbangala, Nzinga set her sights on establishing a new, secure base of operations. Her gaze fell upon the kingdom of Matamba, located to the east of Ndongo. Matamba was a realm known for its strong female rulers and its relative resilience against Portuguese encroachment. Between 1631 and 1635, Nzinga launched a successful campaign to conquer this neighbouring kingdom. In a decisive move in 1631, she deposed the ruling queen, Ndongo Matamba, and established herself as the new sovereign of this strategically important territory. Matamba became the linchpin of Nzinga's resistance against the Portuguese for decades to come. It provided her with a defensible territory, a loyal population, and crucial resources. From this new power base, she continued her relentless war against the colonial forces and their Ndongo allies, launching raids and engaging in protracted guerrilla warfare. To finance her ongoing military campaigns and sustain her kingdom, Nzinga actively participated in and expanded the slave trade. This is a complex and often troubling aspect of her reign, highlighting the grim realities and moral compromises faced by African leaders caught in the maelstrom of the Atlantic slave economy. During the 1630s and 1640s, Nzinga further cultivated her image as a formidable and unconventional ruler. She increasingly adopted male titles and clothing, presenting herself not just as a queen but as a king, a warrior leader who defied traditional gender roles. She established an all-female bodyguard, fiercely loyal and skilled in combat. Furthermore, contemporary European accounts, though potentially exaggerated, describe her maintaining a harem of male concubines, whom she ordered to wear women's clothing and address her with male honorifics. These actions served to bolster her authority and create an aura of mystique and power. The conquest and consolidation of Matamba were a testament to Nzinga's strategic foresight and military acumen. It provided her with the sanctuary and resources necessary to continue her long struggle. By transforming Matamba into a bastion of resistance and by reshaping her own royal persona, Nzinga not only ensured her political survival, but also created a powerful symbol of defiance against colonial domination. Her rule over Matamba marked a new chapter in her extraordinary life, one where she wielded power with an iron will and an unwavering commitment to her people's independence. Section 7. Shifting Tides, the Dutch Alliance and Renewed Hope. A significant opportunity for Nzinga arose in 1641 when the Dutch West India Company, a major European maritime power and rival to Portugal, successfully captured Luanda. The fall of this key Portuguese stronghold sent shockwaves through the region and dramatically altered the balance of power. Nzinga, ever the astute strategist, quickly recognized the potential of this new development. She saw in the Dutch an opportunity to forge a powerful alliance against her long-standing Portuguese adversaries, a chance to reclaim her ancestral lands in Ndongo and deal a decisive blow to colonial ambitions. Nzinga wasted no time in reaching out to the Dutch. She initiated diplomatic contact and skillfully negotiated an alliance. The Dutch, eager to consolidate their hold on Luanda and disrupt Portuguese trade networks, welcomed her as a valuable partner. With Dutch military assistance, which likely included firearms and soldiers, Nzinga launched a series of successful campaigns between 1641 and 1644. During this period, she managed to reclaim large swathes of Ndongo, pushing back the Portuguese and their allies, and for a time, it seemed as though victory was within her grasp. This period of Dutch alliance was marked by several key military engagements. Nzinga's forces, bolstered by their new European allies, won a significant victory at Ngoleme in 1644. However, the fortunes of war are ever shifting. In 1646, she suffered a setback at the Battle of Kavanga, a defeat that also led to the recapture of her sister, Kambu, by the Portuguese, who had been a captive before. Despite this loss, the alliance persevered, and in 1647, a combined Nzinga-Dutch force achieved another important victory at the Battle of Kombi, demonstrating the continued potency of their collaboration. The alliance, however, was not without its tragic costs. Nzinga's other sister, Fungi, who had also been held captive by the Portuguese, was discovered to be secretly corresponding with Nzinga, likely relaying intelligence or messages of support. Upon this discovery, the Portuguese, in a cruel act of retribution, had Fungi drowned. This personal loss was a stark reminder of the brutal realities of the conflict and the immense sacrifices Nzinga and her family endured in their long struggle for freedom and sovereignty. The Dutch alliance, while offering renewed hope, also underscored the precariousness of her position. Section 8. Forging Peace, the hard-won Treaty of 1656. The promising alliance with the Dutch, which had offered Nzinga a significant advantage, proved to be ultimately temporary. In 1648, a powerful Portuguese fleet, dispatched from Brazil, successfully recaptured Luanda. This decisive victory forced the Dutch to evacuate Angola, leaving Nzinga once again to face the resurgent Portuguese forces on her own. With her European allies gone, she was compelled to retreat from her newly regained territories in Ndongo and fall back to her stronghold in Matamba. Her spirit undeterred, but her strategic options significantly narrowed. Despite this setback, Nzinga did not yield. From Matamba, she continued her resistance against the Portuguese for several more years. Her forces, though perhaps diminished, remained a formidable threat, engaging in persistent warfare that drained Portuguese resources and manpower. However, decades of unceasing conflict had taken their toll on both sides. Nzinga, now in her later years, and the Portuguese, weary of the costly and inconclusive wars, began to explore the possibility of a negotiated settlement. The path to peace was long and undoubtedly fraught with suspicion and complex maneuvering. After protracted negotiations, a peace treaty was finally signed between Nzinga as Queen of Ndongo and Matamba and the Portuguese in late 1656. This treaty was a landmark achievement, a testament to Nzinga's enduring political skill and her ability to secure terms that, while involving compromises, largely preserved the autonomy of her kingdom. Key terms of the treaty included the formal recognition of the Lucala River as the border, meaning Nzinga had to cede some western Ndongo lands to Portugal. In return, Portugal ceded the Kitoxula region to Nzinga, acknowledging her control over Matamba and parts of Ndongo. The treaty also stipulated that Portuguese traders would be allowed to operate within Matamba, but significantly, Nzinga gained a monopoly on the slave trade conducted through her capital. Perhaps most personally significant for Nzinga, the treaty secured the release of her sister, Kambu, who by then had adopted the Christian name Dona Barbara. Kambu had been a captive of the Portuguese for many years, and her return was a profound personal victory for the Queen. This hard-won peace, achieved after nearly 4 decades of relentless struggle, allowed Nzinga to finally turn her attention towards rebuilding her war-torn realm. Section 9. Twilight of a Queen: Legacy and Enduring Significance. With the peace treaty of 1656 secured, Nzinga, then in her 70s, entered the final phase of her extraordinary reign. She dedicated her remaining years to the monumental task of rebuilding and strengthening her kingdom of Matamba, which had endured decades of warfare. Her focus shifted from military campaigns to consolidating her power, fostering economic stability and ensuring a smooth succession. She astutely worked to develop Matamba as a significant trading power, skillfully leveraging her control over trade routes and particularly her established monopoly on the slave trade passing through her territories. In her later years, Nzinga also appeared to embrace Christian customs more overtly at her court. She engaged in correspondence with Pope Alexander VII in 1661, seeking further religious ties and perhaps aiming to enhance her kingdom's international standing and legitimacy in the eyes of European powers. This renewed engagement with Christianity may have been a pragmatic political move, a genuine deepening of faith, or a combination of both. Crucially, she designated her sister Kambu, now known as Dona Barbara, as her heir, ensuring that the leadership of Matamba would remain within her trusted family lineage, thereby hoping to prevent succession crises after her death. Nzinga Mbande, the fearless queen of Ndongo and Matamba, died on December 17, 1663, at the remarkable age of around 79 or 80. Her death was reportedly due to a severe throat infection that spread to her lungs. She passed away in her kingdom, having outlived many of her enemies, and having secured a measure of peace and stability for her people after a lifetime of relentless struggle. As planned, she was succeeded by her sister, Dona Barbara, who continued to rule Matamba, building upon the foundations Nzinga had laid. Nzinga's legacy is profound and multifaceted. She is remembered for her exceptional intelligence, her unparalleled political and diplomatic acumen, and her brilliant military tactics that allowed her to defy a major European colonial power for decades. In Angola today, she is revered as a national hero, a symbol of resistance against oppression, and is often referred to as the Mother of Angola. Modern recognitions, including a major street and a prominent statue in Luanda, as well as her image on Angolan currency, attest to her enduring significance. While historical portrayals have varied, from colonial-era depictions emphasizing her eventual Christian conversion to sensationalized accounts of her alleged cruelty, contemporary scholarship increasingly recognizes her as one of history's most formidable and inspiring leaders.